Greetings, everybody. Nina the Mystic Truther here, and welcome to this week's video. We have Robert in the green room, but before we get to Robert, I thought I would take an opportunity to wish everybody a happy new year. Can you believe it? Another year has gone by, and I gotta say there has been some changes for me personally here, especially with the whole YouTube and social media and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure most of you are aware that I am no longer on Patreon. So I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of my Patreons. Without you guys' support, this wouldn't be possible. And so I thank you so much for, being a Patreon. And those of you who do have the Blue Wrench already, who have been supporting me, some of you for years, thank you, thank you. Keep that Blue Wrench. You know what I mean? I'm going to grandfather you guys in with that Blue Wrench as a big thank you for the support that you have been giving me. Okay, now I want to show you guys the way to support me further. Okay, so whether you want to be part of the Wednesday show, if you show up live to the Wednesday show, and that's another announcement, I guess, is Hump Day Message is returning on Wednesday, the 8th, okay, back on YouTube. And I also have a new Facebook. Now, Facebook, I'm not able to go live quite yet, so I'll let you guys know when that's happening. But for right now, we are definitely going live on YouTube with Hump Day, okay? So same day, same time, okay? If you're able to show up for the live show, as you guys know, you then are able to get a private, message to go with the Hump Day. Okay, if not, everybody will get Hump Day Message for free. Okay, so just make sure that you are checking your inbox, set the notify me button, because I know YouTube isn't really helping me out with notifications, and I'm really worried that you guys aren't going to get the notification, because a lot of you were signed up to Patreon even for the free account, which then gave you access to all of the Sunday links in your email, that you're not getting now. I noticed last night's show, hardly anybody showed up, and that is probably why. So I really apologize to everyone who was used to getting the links in your email, and now you have to rely on the YouTube notification. So make sure that you are subscribed for one, and hitting that bell for all notifications hopefully will help. But coming back, because I do schedule my shows on Mondays usually, making sure you go in there and set that little notify me button. That way, at least you get notified in your email, and hopefully you will remember that we are going live. But yeah, 2 live shows now. So Wednesdays at 5 Pacific, that's 8 Eastern. And then on Sundays at 6 Pacific, that will be 9 Eastern. So hopefully you guys remember that. Set your alarm or something so that you don't forget. But the way to support me now is through the Streamlabs, which is the streaming service that I'm already paying for. I essentially have a mini little website, if you want to call it, on Streamlabs, where I have my donation page as well as my merch. So that's where you can go and check it out. And as you can see here, I got to get in here. So this is the tip page here. So you can do a one-time donation. Of course, that's where the default is and where most people are used to, okay? You can do a monthly. And this is kind of where I want to direct you guys towards. So all of those people who, were contributing to the Patreon, if you don't mind, supporting me over here now, just hitting that monthly, okay? And if you hover over there, it says, help your favorite streamer build a reliable source of income. Monthly tip alert is included, which means that whenever you guys are either tipping or buying merch during the live show, it will show up on the screen with a big, huge Insta shout out. You can even put a message in here, okay? And that will be read out loud by an AI generated voice during the live show. So if you want to say hi, whatever you want to do, a message, you can put it in there if you want to. There's some other options on here on other things that you can add to, to this thing, because it is interactive with the show. Okay, I'll leave that up to you to check that out. But if you don't mind, especially for those who already were supporting me and who want to continue, just go into that link there. I will put I think I got the link in here. Yes, I'll put the link in here in the live chat. Again, it is pinned in the live chat, and it's also the first link you're going to find in the description down below for those who are watching this later. You can set this up at any time you want to. However, if you do it during the live here, then you will get an Insta shout out. Okay, as you can see here, they do keep track of those who are donating. It looks like Star Ruby is the top tipper in here. And it looks like Milky Way was probably the last donation that I got. Thank you so much to the Milky Way Soul Tribe channel, one of my biggest supporters and co-hosts here. And, I really appreciate you. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to all his channels. I got 3 of them down in the description down below. Okay. And thank you to all the other ones who have been supporting me here. Most of you were over on Patreon. So expect to see your name here once you are either signed up for the monthly, or you can, do a donation here and there. Play as you, pay as you play, or whatever it is called. You know what I mean? That's how you want to do it. And while you're there, if you just go up here, you can go right to the merch page. I'm not going to go there right now and check out the merch if you'd like to, but getting yourself set up with the monthly tip here would be great if you can do it today. Then that way, when you guys show up on Wednesday, wanting your additional clarifying cards, it will be that much less time that we have to spend doing that. So yeah, let me get out of here. So let's see here. Are we on the right thing? There we go. So without further ado, let's introduce our guests tonight. Robert, how you doing?
Doing great. Doing great.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's good to be back.
I know.
It really is. Like we had some great shows with the predictions, and people, if you want to do the remembrance of the year and predictions and stuff, you know what? I just want to stop for a second. I feel really bad. We were doing that whole remembrance thing for the past year, and we never did bring up Delabore.
Yeah, we didn't really get it. We were just more focused on the news, weren't we?
And I got all done, and I listened to the show, and I thought, we should have gave a big shout out to him, because he worked so close with both of us. Not just we were both on the show many a times, and we do miss him. We did do other shows for him, but I can't believe we were so focused on the world around us that we forgot about people who are really close to us. So.
I know. I was mentioning that after the fact, of course, that, hey, we should have done a year in review of our shows.
Yes.
Little snippets of our show. That would probably be more entertaining than to sit and hash up all the stupid stuff that happened in the world, because it was kind of funny. The one thing that I really stood out to me was one thing that wasn't even in the article that we were using. So, but anyways, go and check it out if you like to. But I'm hoping that next year we're going to do something better. I think this year, I guess it'll be this year. The end of this year, we'll do something different. Yeah, we'll look into that. But yeah. So I see there's a lot of people here. Welcome. Come on in. Make sure that you guys are smashing that like button. That really helps out. If there's more people liking, and sharing it out, obviously, to your friends, that helps the channel out a lot. It shows YouTube that, hey, people are interested in this stuff, and then that's going to help you out, and hopefully to be getting notifications. You know what I mean? So yeah, whatever you guys can do with the like and share, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Okay, it does help us out. And for those who don't know, I have a brand new Facebook page now. I'm accepting all friend requests, so you can friend request me up on the new Facebook. Okay, and I'm starting all over with Facebook with the new email and new Facebook. The other one was completely shadow banned. I had almost 2,500 people up in there, and zero And I mean 0 views on my videos. So I stopped going live on the old one, and I'm going to start all over again now. So basically, I'm starting all over again with everything when it comes to my live streaming, essentially. Patreon's gone, the website's gone, of course. Facebook is gone, like everything is gone. I'm starting all over again. So if you guys don't mind, following me at least up on the Facebook, and then I got a brand new Discord. Okay, so that's going to be fun. It's a lot more, I think people are a lot more into the Discord. It's more popular. People are more familiar with it. Rather than the Gilded. We do have the Gilded, which is kind of going with the YouTube, where we do post a lot of the, the truth and politics and all that stuff. But we also have a room for this, for the ancient history, for the Anunnaki story that we're doing. So we post things in there that's related to the shows and things that we're into. And so Gilded is great if you're into that. But if you're not into that stuff, you just want to be part of the mystic stuff. And I think most of my audience, to be honest with you, are occultists. You definitely want to, join me up on the new Facebook and the new Discord. Okay, so I got all the links down below. I guess I could grab them here for you guys. While I'm sitting here now, so let's see here. I'm trying to talk and do things at the same time, and it's not always.
It's hard to do both, isn't it?
Sometimes, you got to use your brain.
Yeah. And that too. I see. Aaron says, "Where can I donate?" Yeah, if you don't see it in the chat. There is all your links are in the description.
It is pinned. So when you look at the live chat on top, there it's either blue or it's white, depending on which device you're on. A chat. Just click on that, and that's where the link is. If you are here live now, if not, if you are watching it later, it will be the first link in the description. Before the PDF. I do have a free PDF for the book that we're reading here. So if you want to read along or read ahead, you're more than welcome to have the free PDF. But before you even get to that down below, it will be the donation link. Okay. And it's very straightforward. I do believe they take both credit cards and PayPal and whatever. So it should be something for everyone there. If for some reason, if some of you, there's some of the old timers who don't even have a bank account, I realize. Okay. For those of you, who rather just do like cash in the mail, I do have a mailing address in the description as well. If you rather just send me cash. Okay. Make sure it's inside a card or something so people don't see it, because it's not technically legal to do that, but we don't talk about that. But that is an option for those who, don't have credit cards and PayPal and all that stuff, old school people. Yep. And of course, you can send me other stuff as well if you would rather donate, other things. There's a lot of things that, is helpful, obviously. And so anything is greatly appreciated, guys. So, yeah, is there any questions about any of that stuff? We can get to that right now. If not, I'm going to start reading. Once I start reading, I don't pay attention to the chat, unfortunately, so I won't be able to answer any questions or anything. So if you have anything, put them in there now, okay? Before I get going, I'm going to scroll back just. So Jeremiah said he added you.
Go and get your merch there.
Yes, merch is another way of supporting the stream. Obviously, you're going to get a little something for yourself.
Stuff. You got magnets and stickers and all that good stuff too.
That I have here. So I do have some stickers on the merch store. If you want to just grab some in there, that's great too. But I do have some myself, onto Corona stickers, and I do have new magnets now. Canada Post is back up, so come on in with emails, email me, and that's another great way of supporting me is by purchasing stickers and magnets. And then, of course, I don't know, I'm sure most of you must have seen the other video I just released about the New Year's promo for the White Light Spray. Okay, there's some information down below. If not, go into my YouTube and check it out. I did post up a video with a review from J.S. Garrett. Okay, so and it also explains what the white light is all about. I realize that a lot of my audience is newer, you know, especially since I lost the other channel. I had, of course, all those kind of videos up on my old channel, which I don't now. So this I guess is my first video of the you know, products and services playlist going. So go and check that out. And there will be more coming up, obviously, as I get going. But yeah, everything is new again now. It's like, you know, so, but the beauty about that is I got a fresh start, you know, and it's not shadow banned. And hopefully, yeah, I'm able to
I see on
there.
the thing, your advertisement there, you buy you get free shipping and a free sticker pack if you order 2 or more.
2 more.
Hot diggity. See, you get a whole bundle of stuff.
There you go. Exactly. So that's my New Year's promo. So go and check that out. Check out the video, though. I would recommend to do that. I have it up on the new Facebook as well. I downloaded it there. I will be doing that because I can't go live there. I'll just be, you know, adding the videos there. The hump days. I'll be, you know, like downloading it to the Facebook, so it's easier for Facebook to see it. You don't have to go into you know, YouTube, because you know, when you're on Facebook, some people don't like to have to go into a YouTube link. So yeah, so there's that. Yeah, EA's in here, right on. Hello, happy New Year, EA. I see. Yeah, fresh starts are always nice. You know what I mean? Happens to be a new year anyways, and I got a lot of other things going on that's new this year. And so, yeah, fresh starts, new year. It feels good. You know, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you're doing something new, but I'm hoping that everybody is able to, you know, get a hold of the videos. That's the thing, and you know, get onto the donation thing here so that you're all set up for Wednesday. I'm super excited about getting back on YouTube for that, and even more excited to get onto the Facebook. That's hopefully is going to actually share the video out to the public, you know, because YouTube's not doing that. I'm kind of stuck here. You know, so there's that. But yeah, enough about that. If you need links or anything, you know, put them in there. I don't Robert might see the questions while I'm reading and vice versa, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm usually, when you're reading, I'm watching the chat, and if there's something that comes up, I'll respond. So, you know, like I said, everybody, thank you all for being here tonight. We sure do enjoy your company. It's you know, that means the most. You know, just try to support Nina. You know, and if you can't afford anything, hey, at least give us some thumbs up. That helps the algorithm. You know, leave a comment below the video. That means a lot too, because that helps supports the algorithm. YouTube looks at all of that little stuff, and by doing things like that, that helps with the interaction, and YouTube wants to push the videos forward.
Yeah, that's how it works, guys. So if you are enjoying the content, make sure that you're telling YouTube by hitting the like, you know, and sharing it out. Hopefully some of your friends might enjoy it as well. You know what I mean? Put them in the groups that you think would be appropriate, you know, depending on what our topic is. I do realize I sort of have 2 different kinds of content on this channel now, but hopefully most of you are on board and are into all the stuff that I'm into, hopefully, and hopefully maybe your friends are as well. So share it out to the groups and group chats and all those places, wherever you think you're able to spam it without getting in too much trouble. I realize most stuff on Facebook now, they just won't let you spam anything, you know, so it's hard to advertise without having to pay for it, you know, but that is another option that I'm looking at over there. So yeah, but I'm excited about the episode 6 here of the
yeah, we're on chapter 4 already.
I have
chapter 4, here it comes. You know, I mean, the thing is, the more we read into this, the more interesting it gets. If you guys haven't watched the Lacerda files on Y-Files, the Y-Files, do you get the Y-Files? Nina?
I think you shared something from there at some
Yeah,
point.
with Hecklefish. You'll know him. He's got
that guy.
the
I
gold.
have seen him, but I don't think I'm subscribed to the channel.
Okay, so the other day they were talking about the Lacerda files, about this alien who, you know, if it's true or not, we don't really know. But they were talking about how Earth was created, or us were not the Earth created, but us, how we were created. And basically in a different format, or a different, you know, wording with names and stuff, or names that are very close to the names that we have. They were describing in there how you know, we're the seventh version of mankind, and it goes back, and basically it sounds like the Anunnaki story, you know, in the same version of the whole thing. So, you know, go check that out. It's really interesting because it makes this story very relevant. And that's kind of what it made me feel like. I was like, oh yeah, you know, the names, but you got to remember, after centuries, those names get tweaked a little bit, you know, and tweaked and tweaked. But the plot, the same idea, you know, because we always think, well, how did those footprints get alongside the dinosaurs? And how did those buildings get to be built? How old are the pyramids? And in the Lacerda files, they're talking about, hey, those pyramids are like 75,000 years old, you know, built by the fifth version of humanity. Well, see, and so it's telling us that, hey, we didn't build a pyramid. They're way older than we believed them to be. And that would make way more sense, because the fifth version could have been a stronger human. They could have been larger. Heck, they could have been smarter. They could have been guided by the Anunnaki on how to do all of this. The Egyptians just inherited all this stuff. So as we read through the story, we're gonna learn a lot of these things. So don't dismiss it. That's all I'm gonna say. Is we're not. Don't dismiss this story. It may be from a remember, this story is like 30 years old, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess we got a disclaimer a little bit. It's been a few weeks since we did a show on this now. And this is Zecharia Sitchin's interpretation of the tablets. And so we got to remember that this is his interpretation. We also don't know for sure, you know, if everything is correct. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. You know, this is sort of the grandfather of the Anunnaki story, I guess, where we kind of got all of this kind of stuff from. However, I do believe that we are going to be finding more tablets, and I think that's going to be part of the disclosure that's coming. It's not that they're going to come out and say, oh yeah, no, it's going to be coming out by us finding something new. That's what I'm thinking is going to be happening. So I'm excited for that. I can't wait for more tablets to be uncovered and to be alive at this time to, you know, be part of it and be the first to see it and everything like that. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, there's a lot of cool things I think that are coming up, you know. However, it's going to be new and scary, and, you know, it's so, but unfortunately, there's a lot of distractions going on as well. You know, this whole fog thing, I think that's a distraction. The drone thing, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of distractions to kind of confuse us and, you know, kind of keep us busy over here while they're doing something over there. You know, never mind the whole opening up portals and everything else. Wasn't that on the 5th? Yeah, that was today another one. So last week he opened, and then today I believe it's the last one that he's opening up. So it's going to be interesting to see what's coming around the corner with that, you know. So just stay tuned, because we'll keep you updated on that, I guess. Yeah, but anyways, we might as well get going. Like I said, we have a free PDF down below here. I just realized we're going to make this a whole lot bigger, right? There.
Yep.
Is that good enough?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Well, there you go. Chapter 4, everybody. Okay. Sumer, land of the gods. I'm just going to make sure you guys are seeing everything. Everything is cool.
Yeah, looks pretty good from here, and I got it on the smaller screen, so.
Yeah, we're on laptops though, so everything looks good. I don't know how you guys do it on the phones, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be able to see this, I don't think, on my phone.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think if you're on your phone, you're not going to be reading along.
Probably not, right? So,
on my computer, I can see it pretty well.
Yeah. I think it's, if you're on your laptop or even better, you can go on your big screen, you know, then I'm sure you can read along. But there is the PDF down below, so if you want to pull it up and just read it for yourself that way, you can do that as well. So, but yeah, chapter 4, Sumer, land of the gods. Now we're starting to get into some good stuff, eh? There's no doubt that the olden words, which for thousands of years constituted the language of higher learning and religious scriptures, was the language of Sumer. There is also no doubt that the olden gods were the gods of Sumer. Records and tales and genealogists and historians of gods older than those pertaining to the gods of Sumer have not been found anywhere. When these gods in the original Sumerian forms or in the later Akkadian, Babylonian, or Assyrian are named and counted, the list runs into the hundreds. But once they are classified, it is clear that they were not a hodgepodge of divinities. They were headed by a pantheon of great gods, governed by an assembly of the deities and related to each other. Once the numerous lesser nieces, nephews, grandchildren, and the like are excluded, a much smaller and coherent group of deities emerges, each with a role to play, each with a certain power and responsibilities. They were the Sumerian believed gods that were of the heavens. Texts dealing with the time before things were created talk of such heavenly gods as Apsu, and I'll highlight them here, Apsu, Tiamat, Anshar, Kishar. No claim is ever made that the gods of this category even appeared upon earth. As we look closer at these gods who existed before earth was created, we shall realize that they were the celestial bodies that makes up our solar system. And as we shall show, the so-called Sumerian myths regarding those celestial beings are, in fact, precise and scientifically plausible cosmologic concept regarding the creation of our solar system. There were also lesser gods who were of earth. Their cult center were mostly provincial towns. They were no more than local deities. At best, they were given charge of some limited operations, as for example, the goddess, I gotta highlight this, Nin, almost looks like my name, Ninkashi, Lady Beer. Wow, lady and beer all in one. That's interesting. Who supervised the preparation of beverages. Okay, that makes sense. Of them, no heroic tales were told. They possessed no awesome weapons, and the other gods did not shudder at their command. They remind one very much on the company of young gods that marched last in the procession depicted of the rock on the rocks of the Hittite. Oh, this is a big one. Yes, yeah, whatever that word is there. On the rocks of here. Between the two groups, there were gods of heaven and earth. The ones called the ancient gods, they were the olden gods of the epic tales, and in the Sumerian belief, they had come down to earth from the heavens. There were no more local deities. There were national gods, indeed, international gods. Some of them were present and active upon earth even before there were men upon earth. Indeed, the existence of man was deemed to have been the result of the deliberate creative enterprise on the part of the gods. They were powerful, capable of feats beyond mortal ability or comprehension. Yet these gods not only looked like humans, but ate and drank like them, and displayed virtually every human emotion of love and hate, loyalty and infidelity. Although the roles of hierarchical standing and some of the principal deities shifted over the millennia, a number of them never lost their paramount position and their national and international veneration. As we take a close look at this central group, there emerged a picture of a dynasty of gods, a divine family, closely related yet bitterly divided. The heads of the family of the gods of heaven and earth were On, or Anu in the Babylonian Assyrian text. He was the great father of the gods, the king of the gods. His realm was the expanse of the heaven, and his symbol was a star. In the Sumerian pictographic writing, the sign of a star also stood for An, for heavens, and for divine being, or God, descended of On, whatever. This foretold meaning of the symbol remained through the ages as the script moved from the Sumerian pictographic to the cuneiform Akkadian to the stylus Babylonian and Assyrian, which I don't have the pictures for it, but from the very earliest times until the cuneiform script faded away, from the 4th millennium BC almost to the time of Christ, this symbol preceded the names of the gods. It's too bad that we don't actually see the symbols here, because that would be kind of cool. But I guess that's what you get with a free PDF, right? So you can always obviously buy, the hardcover book where you'll get all the pictures in there. So that's definitely recommended. But let's see. Any of the names written in the text was not of mortal, but of deity of heavenly origin. Anu's abode and the seat of his kingship was in the heavens. That was where the other gods of heaven and earth went. They needed individual advice or favor, or where they met in assembly to settle disputes among themselves or to reach major decisions. Numerous texts describe Anu's palace, whose portals were guarded by a god of the tree of truth and a god of tree of life. His throne, the manner in which other gods approached him, and how they sat in his presence. The Sumerian text could also recall instances where not only the other gods, but even some chosen mortals were permitted to go up to Anu's abode, mostly with the object of escaping mortality. One such tale pertained to Adapa, model of man. I believe, isn't Adapa the first man? The first man they made?
Yep.
Or
yep.
Adamu.
Adam. It's kind of,
that's where Adam comes from, Adamu or something like that. Yep. Yeah. He was so perfect and so loyal to the god Ea, who had created him, that Ea arranged for him to be taken to Anu. Ea then described the Adapa what to expect. Adapa, thou art going before Anu the king, the road to heaven thou wilt take. When to heaven thou hast ascended and hast approached the gate of Anu, the bearer of life and the grower of truth, at the gate of Anu will be standing. Guided by his creator Adapa, the heaven went up, ascended to heaven, and approached the gate of Anu. But when he was offered the chance to become immortal, Adapa refused to eat the bread of life, thinking that the angry Anu offered him poison food. He was thus returned to earth as an anointed priest, but still immortal. Wow. The Sumerian claimed that not only gods, but only selected mortals could ascend to the divine abode in the heavens is echoed in the Old Testament tales of the ascents to the heaven by Enoch and the prophet Elijah. Though Anu lived in the heavenly abode, the Sumerian text reported instances when he came down to earth, either at times of great crisis or in ceremonial visits, when he was accompanied by his spouse, Antu, that's his spouse, or at least once to make his great-granddaughter, Inanna, his consort on the earth. Since he did not permanently reside on earth, there was apparently no need to grant him exclusivity over his own city or cult center, and the abode or high house erected for him was located at the Uruk, the biblical Erech, the domain of the goddess Inanna. The ruins of Uruk include to this day a huge man-made mound where archaeologists have found evidence that the construction and reconstruction of a high temple, the Temple of Anu, no less than 18 strata or distinct phases were discovered there, indicating the existence of compelling reasons to maintain the temple at the sacred site. The Temple of Anu was called Eanna, House of An, but this simple name applied to the structure that, at least at some of its phases, was quite a sight to behold. It was, according to Sumerian text, the hallowed Eanna, the pure sanctuary. Traditions maintain that the great gods themselves had fashioned its parts. Its cornice was like copper. Its great wall touched the clouds, a lofty dwelling place. It was the house whose charm was irresistible, whose allure was unending. And the text also made clear the temple's purpose, for they called it the house for descending from heaven. A tablet that belonged to an archive at Uruk enlightened us to the pomp and pageantry that accompanied the arrival of Anu and his spouse on a state visit. Because of the damage to the tablet, we can read of the ceremonies only from some midpoint. When Anu and Antu was already seated at the temple's courtyard, the gods, exactly in the same order as before, then formed a procession ahead of and behind the bearer of the scepter. The protocol then instructed, "They shall then descend to the exalt court and shall turn toward the god Anu. The priest of purification shall liberate the scepter, and the scepter bearer shall enter and be seated. The deities," I'll highlight it there, Popsukal, Nasuku, and Shala, "shall then be seated in the court of the god Anu. Meanwhile, the goddess, the divine offspring of Anu, Uruk's divine daughters, bore a second object, whose name or purpose are unclear, to the and near the house of golden bed and goddess Antu. Then they return in our procession to the courtyard, to the place where Antu is seated. While the evening meal was being prepared according to a strict ritual, a special priest smeared a mixture of good oil and wine on the door sockets of the sanctuary, to which Anu and Antu were later to retire for the night. A thoughtful thought indeed, it seemed, to eliminate squeaking of the doors while the two deities slept. Oh, that's so you just use WD-40 now, but back then it was just some holy oil. While an evening meal of various drinks and appetizers were being served, an astronomer priest went up to the topmost stage of the tower of the main temple to observe the skies. He was to look out for the rising in a specific part of the sky of the planet named Great Anu of Heaven. Thereupon he was to recite the composition name to the one who grows bright, the heavenly planet of the Lord Anu, and the Creator's image has risen. Once the planet had been cited and the poems recited, Anu and Antu washed their hands with water of a golden basin, and the first part of the feast began. Then the seven great gods also washed their hands from 7 large golden trays, and the second part of the feast began. The rite of washing of the mouth was then performed. The priest recited the hymn, "The planet of Anu is heaven's hero." Torches were lit, and the gods, priests, singers, and food bearers arranged themselves in a procession, accompanying the 2 visitors to the sanctuary for the night. 4 major deities were assigned to remain in the courtyard and keep watch until daybreak. Others were stationed at various designated gates. Meanwhile, the whole country was to lit up and celebrate the presence of the 2 divine visitors. On a signal from the main temple, the priests of all the other temples of Uruk were to use torches to start bonfires. And the priests in the other cities, seeing the bonfires at Uruk, were then to do likewise. Then the people of the land shall light fires in their homes, and shall offer banquets to all the gods. The guards and the cities shall light fires in the streets and in the squares. The departure of the 2 great gods were also planned, not only to the day, but to the minute. On the 17th day, 40 minutes after sunrise, it has to be 40 minutes after sunrise, the gate shall be open before the god Anu and Antu, bringing to an end their overnight stay. On the 17th day, isn't that interesting? 17, you know what I mean? Like Q, letter Q, 17, the Q movement. I don't know. It just, anyways. Interesting. Exactly 40 minutes after sunrise, the gate shall be open. That's interesting. While the end of his tablet has broken off, another text in all probability describes the departure, the morning meal, the incantations, the handshakes, grasping of the hands by the other gods. The great gods were then carried to their point of departure on throne-like litter carried on the shoulder of the temple functionaries. An Assyrian depiction of a procession of deities, though from a much later time, probably gives us a good idea of the manner in which Anu and Antu were carried during the procession in Uruk. I guess I can kind of visualize how they're sitting on this thing that they're carrying, you know, like we see in the movies, I guess, right? Fortunately, we don't have the illustration here. Special incantations were recited when the procession was passing through the streets of the gods. Their psalms and hymns were sung up in the procession near the holy quay, and when it reached the dike of the ship of Anu, God byes were then said, and yet more incantations were recited and sung with hand-raising gestures. Then all the priests and temple functionaries who carried the gods, led by the great priest, offered a special prayer of departure. Great Anu, may heaven and earth bless you, they intoned 7 times. They prayed for the blessing of the 7 celestial gods and invoked the gods that were in heaven and the gods that were upon earth. In conclusion, they bade farewell to Anu and Antu thus: may the gods of the deep and the gods of the divine abode bless you. May they bless you daily, every day of every month and every year. Among the thousands upon thousands of depictions of the ancient gods that have been uncovered, none seem to depict Anu, yet he peers at us from every statue and every portrait of every king that has ever was, from antiquity to our very own days. For Anu was not only the great king, king of the gods, but also the one whose grace others would be crowned as kings. By Sumerian traditions, ruleship flowed from Anu, and the very term for kingship was Anatu, Anu-ship. The insides of Anu were the tiara, the divine headdress, the scepter, symbol of power, and the staff, symbolizing the guidance provided by the shepherd. The shepherd's staff may now be found more in the hands of the bishops than of the kings, but the crown of scepter are still held by whatever king mankind has left on some thrones. The second most powerful deity of the Sumerian pantheon was Enlil. His name meant Lord of the Airspace, the prototype and father of the later storm god that were the pantheons of the ancient world. He was Anu's eldest son, born at his father's heavenly abode, but at some point in the earlier times he descended to earth and was thus the principal god of heaven and earth. So Enlil is the original god of heaven and earth, as we know it. That's what it says.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I just want to get that clarified, because you hear all these stories, but you're not quite sure who is in charge, like who was put in charge. Yeah. Who is our daddy? You know what I mean? Essentially, maybe not our creator, but the one that was left in charge here. That, you know what I mean? So that was Enlil. Yeah.
Well, because there was Enlil and his brother, and one was in charge of like the earth, and the other one was in charge of the heavens above the earth. Enki.
Yeah. So it says here. So Enlil. Okay, it was related to storm gods. Okay. So the star. So that this is, So Enlil essentially is Poseidon.
Yep.
Right. And I wouldn't be surprised that he might be Thor, maybe, in the Nordic, right? Because I've always had that sort of knowing that, there's only so many of them, but they carry many names. They go by many names. They reinvent themselves, they kind of like what I'm doing. You just, a new time to reinvent, a new name, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's who it is. Yeah. Let's see, where do we?
Okay.
When the gods. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, remember we were talking about the temple, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got the temple. This is what it looks like. I'm going to share with you.
I'm gonna have to move over.
Okay, yeah. So if you want to, because we've been talking about this giant temple, and there's what it would look like at the time, And if you look at this thing, sitting on this big rock here, what does that remind you of?
It reminds me of the square that they're worshiping still in the Middle East. The black cube. It looks like a square cube kind of.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking that to me it looks like the Roman Pantheon.
I see.
Rome,
where
the building is, and it's kind of built the same way. And
notice those two big openings.
The two doors.
When you look at old paintings, like even Jesus behind the what is it called? The Last Supper, where Jesus and all the disciples, if you go look behind them, you'll see those two opening windows, those two, and a lot of the paintings from back in the olden days, you'll see that. And we're always wondering, like, what's up with those windows? You know what I mean? Oh, I got Buffalo going. Yeah, so that's interesting. So that's where it's from. It's literally all the way back from the first temple that was made.
Exactly, because all those temples, just kind of like the pyramids, the pyramids all over the world are exactly the same. And then you see this setup, the same setup around the world, the same too. And here's what it looks like today. This is a real picture of it. You got the thing, it's kind of destroyed on the top, but still you have the steps going up. This is this is one of those things that actually literally exists. It
reminds me of the Chichen Itza temple. I was there actually in 2016 in Mexico. There, the Chichen Itza. And we took the tour, of course, and so the guys telling us all about what they were doing there, and they're quite brutal. The Aztecs. Aztecs must have come way after these people, obviously, but they were brutal. And these stairs, that's literally where the heads would roll down. So they would do their sacrifice, and then the head would roll down these steps and everything. Yeah, they were brutal, those people. But yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of, and I'm sure.
I made a mistake. The Pantheon is in Athens, Greece. Sorry. Lucky corrected me on that one. Pantheon is Greece. I just keep thinking it looks Roman, so there you go. Sorry. But yeah.
Yeah, so when you travel around the world and you see all these sites, you can kind of see where either they were probably there from these guys originally, and then other species took them over, kind of thing, right, and made it theirs, just like the Egyptians
exactly
did.
like you were saying is they changed the name, but it sure seems the same. And that's the same here. It's going to be the same layout.
Rebranding. That was the word I was looking for. They just keep rebranding themselves over time. Same exactly. same, So there's only so many of them, and
well, even like you were reading this book, and I hate to interrupt, but to just recap, a few minutes ago you were talking about the tree, I'm writing notes down, the tree of truth and the tree of life. Hey, that was in the Bible, wasn't it?
Well, the tree of life is. I don't think the tree of truth is. They call it the tree of good and evil. Oh, that's what it is. Good and evil. That's what it is.
Still, the tree
of knowledge.
Yeah,
isn't that funny how we're all waking up right now, and everybody's into the truth movement, and it's all about the truth coming out? Isn't that interesting? How it all started with the tree of truth, which they, of course, misspelled and said good and evil, because they don't want us to know everything. They just want us to be slaves, just to know this, and that's it. We don't want you to know the rest,
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And as you talked on and read the story, they started talking about a staff, a shepherd, and I kept thinking, oh yeah, they had their shepherd's staff and a headdress, and kings wear the headdress, and so does if you're a ruler, you wear a headdress. Where did they get that idea from? And shepherd's staff, that was carried out in the Bible you know, stuff too. And it seems like all the guys who were wisdom, like even Father Time, you know, since we're here with the New Year, Father Time, what does he have? He has a staff. What the heck does he need his staff for? But he's got that staff.
I'm going to tell you what that is. Okay, so you know, shepherds use the staff to herd the sheep. Right? Yep. Herd them into where you want them, right? To control them. Yep. Well, what do you think our rulers are using the staff for?
Exactly.
Yes, who's the sheep?
Bah,
right?
Bah.
Bah, right? So that is symbolizing that they're ruling and manipulating us to do whatever they want us to do. That's what that staff is all about. And to be honest, when we were reading that, I thought, you know what? You know, the Pope probably is the king of this world.
Yeah.
He probably is the actual king of this world. It's very interesting. And right now he's opening up all these portals, doing some shenanigans, things that we're not aware of. We know a little bit, but we don't know everything that they're doing. And that guy's almost on his way out too. I noticed they're wheeling him around in a wheelchair now. And I saw the other day they were going through, and I know this is a little sidetrack, but they're going through all of these things that he's got going on. He's not really that old, like his early 80s or something like that. He's not like that old, but he sure has a lot of health complications. And I'm thinking, I guess your God isn't real. You're not really in favor of God, are you?
That's right.
You got that much complications. Like he's got stuff that, like, holy smokes, like he shouldn't be that ill at this age. If he was in favor of God, I can tell you that. Right?
Exactly. If you were in that close good with the big guy, you should be.
No favors, eh? That makes you wonder.
He should be healing you. You should be able to go and pray right to the God, and he should be. Yes, you're doing a good job. I'm healing you today.
He should be running up the stairs to these freaking portals, and healing people and showing people what it's, but he's not. Like he's on his way out. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it through this year. Like that's the way he was looking, the way they were describing all these illnesses that he has and has been going through. So very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. You know what? Why don't you take over reading a little bit if you don't mind?
Okay. Yep. No problem. Where'd you leave off? Where you marked it there?
Hang on, I gotta get to where I was. Probably the house which is like a mountain, I would say.
Let me see.
I can keep going a little bit. I'll do another.
No, I was on the wrong page.
Okay.
Because I was trying to get pictures.
Oh, were you? Yeah, right.
So I was working on that while you were doing the thing. You know, hey, I'm back seeing some guy here. The Sumerian text. Let's start at the. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'll keep going, and then you can catch up.
Oh, I think I got it. Who's command? Oops, sorry. Just give me a second.
Just start right here.
Maybe you better get going. Keep going, because I'll find it.
Okay, it's 62 on mine, but I don't know what it is for you. But not only the Sumerians, but the very gods of Sumer considered Enlil supreme. They called him ruler of all the lands and made it clear that in heaven he is the prince, on earth he is the chief. His word, command, high above may the heavens tremble, down below may the earth quake. Enlil, whose command is far-reaching, whose word is lofty and holy, whose pronouncements is unchangeable, who decree destines until the distant future. The gods of earth bow down willingly before him. The heavenly gods who are on earth humble themselves before him. They stand by faithfully according to instructions. Enlil, according to Sumerian belief, arrived at Earth well before Earth became settled and civilized. A hymn to Enlil, the all-beneficent, recounts the many aspects of society and civilization that would not have existed had it not been for Enlil's instructions to execute his orders far and wide. No cities would be built, no settlement founded, no stalls would be built, no sheepfolds erected. No king would be raised, no high priest born. The Sumerian text also stated that Enlil arrived on earth before the black-headed people. Before the black-headed people. Interesting.
Yeah, who are these
black-headed? They're not saying black-haired, but black-headed.
No. Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. I think there's a I've heard that term before, the black-headed people, and it's like a cult, you know, like the Masons or something.
Oh, so they paint themselves with black?
No. It's not painting at all. It's just it's a group of people. It doesn't have anything to do with black. See, that's where people get wrong. Oh, the black-headed people. It's a group. It'd be like the Caucasians versus the Negroes. You know what I mean?
Well, I can see that, but when you call it black, black skinned,
yes.
or black haired, or white headed, you know what I mean? Like,
it's word deception. Word deception.
So this is where the translation might be a little off. Yes. So can we assume that maybe, because I have heard that mankind did originate in Africa?
Yep.
So could it be that, you know what I mean? So maybe they are talking about African people?
I don't think so. I don't. I think that's a misconception because, we say that they came up from Africa and they went through, and we prove it with DNA. But I tell you what, it's hard to imagine making an African into a Asian or make him into a white guy. You know what I'm saying? It's blonde hair, blue eye. If you have all, when you have dark skin and dark hair, how are you getting blue eyes out of that?
I was gonna explain to you guys. Okay, so even in Norway, right? You think, Scandinavians, you're all blue hair, blue-eyed, blondes. Okay, yeah. Well, no, we somehow arrived there at some point. You see, this is we never really talked about this or even questioned this, to be honest with you. But in the Lapland of Norway, which is more up in north, we have the Laplanders, okay? And they look kind of more like natives, I would say, like the darker skin and black hair. Black hair. They all have black hair. They look like the natives. You got the darker skin, you got the black hair, and they live up there still nowadays, and they're the ones that are minding the reindeer, and they live in teepees just like the North American, natives. And so it's come to my understanding that every single continent has natives on them.
Yeah.
The white man showed up there at some point later. So it's you know what I mean? So those black-headed people could be Norwegians for all we know, because there's Laplanders.
Did you know that the white population only makes up 7% of the total Earth population?
Yeah.
And and it also says that, they say, oh yeah, the white people lived up north because they needed to soak in more of that melatonin and stuff into their skin or block it or whatever it is. But then that doesn't explain how the people, in the far north have darker skin and darker hair. You know what I mean? When the same happens with like the African or Asian people, and they don't need that to have that. They could have had white skin too, right?
Yeah.
See, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because even when you try to explain the Bible story of Adam and Eve, they had the two sons, right? And then they went out to the valley and got married. Well, who the hell did they get married to?
Exactly.
Well, they must have been the native people that were there before. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking that's probably what it is. The natives. The natives were here before these guys. And it says there right here. Enlil arrived on Earth. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, he arrived on the Earth before the black people. So Enlil was here already before they even had made. So they may have made a lot of different before they made us. Like, you know what I mean? So I guess, well, you know what? We'll just keep. Why don't you? Are you on the right page now?
I'm on the right page now. Okay.
Let's, because I'm sure we're going to get into that as we go along here, right? So yeah.
We'll just start at the top of the paragraph here. The Sumerian text also stated that Enlil arrived on Earth before the black-headed people. The Sumerian nickname means that another group of people showed up. The Sumerian nickname for mankind were created. During such pre-mankind times, Enlil erected Ninipur as his center or command post, at which heaven and earth were connected through some bond. I would say a porthole. That doesn't sound like a porthole. The Sumerian text called this bond a Durakin, bond heaven and earth. Use poetic language to describe Enlil's
I just like to say one thing. I got this. This is going to sound a little, a little weird, but you know how condoms, Durex.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be like a bond in between? I don't know. That was just getting to me. Where the word, where the words are coming from, like it almost a condom almost looks like a portal in a sense, like
maybe.
And it blocks life essentially. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, but when they're saying a bond of heaven and earth, and then it's connected. If you got heaven and earth connected, that tells me that's like a portal from heaven to earth. And then of course it was set up so that you could come through that temple. People, because it says here he arrived he had a command post. Well, if you have a command post, that's like having an airport. That's the base, and people are coming and going. That's your bond. That's your doorway. I'm surprised they didn't use doorway. Anyway, I'll just keep reading. Enlil, when you marked off divine settlements on earth, Ninipur, you set up your very own city, the city of earth, and the lofty, your pure place whose water is sweet. You founded the Durakan in the center of the four corners of the world. In those days, when the gods alone inhabited Ninipur and man had not yet been created, Enlil met the goddess who was to become his wife. According to one version, Enlil saw his future bride while she was bathing in Ninipur's stream, naked. It was love at first sight, but not necessarily with marriage in mind. The shepherd, Enlil, you notice how he says shepherd? Who decrees the fates of the bright-eyed one, saw her. The Lord speaks to her in intercourse. She is unwilling. Enlil speaks to her of intercourse. She is unwilling. My vagina is too small, she said. It knows no compilation. My lips are too little. They know not kissing. Wait a minute. Stop and hold your horses. You know what it sounds like? Yeah, I know. I was like, but listen to this. She's saying she can't have intercourse because her thingamabobber there is too darn small. And she also says we can't copulate because and I can't kiss. My lips are too little. Not this kissing. Well, guess what? That means he's really big. He's a giant.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I was going to say, is he a giant and she's like a human size? But
that's what it sounds like.
You know that they somehow figured it out.
Apparently. Yeah, because I mean, if you met up with a giant, and you'd be like, same thing. Hey, I'm.
Where are you planning on putting that? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, and my lips, I can't kiss you. My lips are like nothingness. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we're getting too much into this stuff. Calm it down. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh boy!
Of course, Enlil did not take no for an answer. Of course, he's a guy, and guys will be guys. If they're giants.
Yeah, he's all good.
Oh man, they come out bad, didn't they?
Oh, don't worry about it.
He disclosed to his chamberlain, Nishku, his burning desire for the young maid, who was called Sud, the nurse, and who lived with her mother at Irisha, the scented house. Ninishku suggested a boat ride and brought up a boat. Enlil persuaded Sud to go sailing with him. Once they were in the boat, he raped her. Yeah. Yeah,
careful with those words. Careful with those words.
I know. I'm like, oh my God. You know, see, this just goes down to the part where, you know, I mean, even in the beginning, the guy can't get what he wants, and he just takes it.
He just takes it. Yeah.
You know.
Well,
sad.
This is where we get this stuff from, right? We didn't just, you know, come up with this willy-nilly. You know, this was something that was shown to us. You know, so yeah.
I know. And then, of course, when this happens, you know, it's like, if you can't get what you want, you take her for a boat ride, and then, you know, you do whatever, and which is, you know, and there's nobody above him. He's the top of the ladder. So there you go. Nobody to hold accountable to. Okay, well, we'll get on with this. The ancient tale then relates that though Enlil was chief of the gods, they were so enraged that they seized him and banished him to the lower world. Enlil, immortal one, they shouted at him, "Get thyself out of the city." This version has it that Sud, pregnant with Enlil's child, followed him, and he married her. Another version has it the repentant Enlil searching for the girl and sending his chamberlain to her mother to ask for the girl's hand. One way or another, Sud did become the wife of Enlil, and he bestowed on her the title of Ninlil, the lady of the airspace. But little did he and the gods who banished him know that it was not Enlil who had succeeded Ninlil, but the other way around. Huh?
Seduced
Ninlil, but the other way around. The truth of the matter was that Ninlil bathed naked in the stream on her mother's instructions, with the hope that Enlil, who customarily took his walks by the stream, would notice Ninlil and wish to forthwith embrace you and kiss you.
So her mother got her to do this.
Yeah, typical seduction.
You know? Yeah. You want to get married? Oh, let's try and entice him, right? And then of course play that. Oh, well, no, I can't. You know, I'm too small for you. You know.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Begin. You know, the games have been going on since day one. You know.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and of course, the mother-in-law is right behind it all. Maybe that's how she got her husband. Then, you know. In spite of the manner in which the two fell for each other, Ninlil was held in the highest esteem once she was given by Enlil the garment of ladyship, with one exception, which, we believe, had to do with the dynastic succession. Enlil is never known to have had other indiscretions. A votive tablet found at Nippur shows that Enlil and Ninlil being served food and beverage at their temple. The tablet was commissioned by Enlil and the domestic of Enlil. Must be a tablet of some sorts that tells a story. Apart from being chief of the gods, Enlil was also deemed the supreme lord of Sumer, sometimes simply called the land, and its black-headed people. A Sumerian psalm spoken a variation of this god. Lord, who knows the destiny of the land, trustworthy in his calling. Enlil, who knows the destiny of Sumer, trustworthy in his calling. Father Enlil, Lord of all the lands. Father Enlil, Lord of the rightful command. Father Enlil, shepherd of the black-headed ones. From the mountain of sunrise to the mountain of sunset, there is no other Lord in the land. You alone are king. The Sumerians revered Enlil out of both fear and gratitude. It was he who made sure that decrees by the assembly of the gods were carried out against mankind. It was his wind that blew obliterating storms against the offending cities. It was he who at the time of the deluge sought the destruction of mankind. But when at peace with mankind, he was a friendly God who bestowed favors. According to that Sumerian text, the knowledge of farming, together with the plow and the pickaxe, were granted to mankind by Enlil. Enlil also selected the kings who were to rule over mankind, not as sovereigns, but as servants of the gods, entrusted with the administration of divine laws, of justice. Accordingly, Sumerian, Akkadian, and Babylonian kings opened their inscriptions of self-adoration by describing how Enlil had called them to kingship. These calls, issued by Enlil on behalf of himself and his father Anu, granted legitimacy to the ruler and outlined his functions. Even Hammurabi, who acknowledged a god named Marduk as the national god of Babylon, prefaced his code of laws by stating that Anu and Enlil named me to promote the welfare of the people, to cause justice to prevail in the land. God of heaven and earth, firstborn of Anu, dispenser of kingship, chief executive of the assembly of the gods, father of the gods and men, grantor of agriculture, lord of the airspace. These were some of the attributes of Enlil that bespoke his greatness and powers. His command was far-reaching, his pronouncements unchangeable. He decreed that the destinies. He possessed the bond of heaven and earth. And from his awesome city in Nippur, he could raise the beams that search the heart of all the lands, eyes that could scan all the lands. Yet he was as human as any young man enticed by a naked beauty, subject to mortal laws imposed by the community of the gods, transgressions of which were punishable by banishment and not even immune to mortal complaints. At least in one known instance, a Sumerian king of Ur complained directly to the assembly of the gods that a series of troubles had befallen Ur and her people could be traced back to the ill-fated fact that Enlil did give the kingship to a worthless man who is not of Sumerian seed. As we go along, we shall see that the central role that Enlil played in in divine and mortal affairs on earth, and how his several sons battle amongst themselves and with others for the divine succession, undoubtedly giving rise to the later tales of the battles of the gods. I want to stop right there for a second and go over a couple of things here.
Maybe we should stop it right there, just do some discussion now, and then...
Yeah, okay. Well, whatever. I'm just...
How much is left in this chapter? It's probably quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we'll just
I just want to bring this up before I forget. He was talking about,
you know... hours here to know where we stopped off.
Okay.
65.
Yeah, make a note of that.
65. I'll write that down.
Okay. So here's the thing. They're telling it like he's a god, but then they're saying, yeah, but he's just like everybody else. He's just like a human man. And then it says, you know, people were complaining, and then he gave. Now listen to this. Enlil did give the kingship to a worthless man who is not of Sumerian seed. Now, remember how we were talking many times before about bloodlines, and how you can trace all these people who are our rulers, you know, everything from, presidents and kings and all of that. Everybody who actually does the ruling, they're all related. They all have the blood. You know, just like when the kings and queens of England died off, they went and got another king and queen from a German descent, and brought them over and said, you're English now, because they had the bloodline. And this, somewhere along here, it says that he gave it to somebody who wasn't. Why would Enlil give it to some worthless man? obviously he had great respect for this man, and the guy must have been really smart, but he was not of Sumerian seed, and therefore he was worthless. And to me, that clicks in my head like, hey, well, what do you think of that? Am I spot on there or kind of off?
Yeah, that is kind of weird that he would give it to somebody else, considering how important that was, right? I mean, they were interbreeding with sisters and mothers and you name it, like, to keep that bloodline. And they still today, this is why the royals are so, adamant on,
Yeah,
but they also know. Now, we also know now, though, that, interbreeding is not a good thing. And then you would think that they would know that back then, that, so maybe having some fresh blood in there once in a while might be a good thing. I don't know.
Well, seeing this is what I get to thinking when you're talking about it. This guy, he put him in charge. He must have been trustworthy. He must have been smart, knowledgeable, all those things that, you could do to, run, be the king, except for the bloodline. Now, back at that point back then, the bloodline would have been more pure because Enlil's right there. But, without thinking about it, maybe the people weren't even happy with it because it's not the lineage. And, or the gods say, hey, wait a minute, you can't have that. Because even nowadays,
would probably be upset about that. I would think there would be ruffling some feathers in the line of succession. I would think. Now,
exactly.
But maybe he gave. Yeah, I guess we'll probably find out as we keep reading. But he probably gave that guy a wife of the lineage so that all the offspring would be still. You know what I mean?
Or well, if he gave it to him or not, the bad part is that people were upset. Maybe they got rid of him. We don't know yet in the story if they're even going to talk to him about it or talk about it. But the idea is that it's always in the bloodline. But the people who are in charge usually surround themselves with people who are way smarter than they are, who are way more capable of running the government or the country or the armies or whatever. They're more capable. They're way smarter, and yet we give it to some guy who can barely walk and talk. You get what I'm saying? I mean, like the guy we got in right now who can barely walk and talk, we're giving it to him, but yet the people he surrounds himself are way more capable, but he has the bloodline. So, it doesn't really matter as long as he got the bloodline, right? And now the new guy's coming in, and we know he's got the bloodline.
Well, he obviously, so what? He must have had a reason for it. I mean, either he thought that his own bloodline just isn't capable, especially with if you're interbreeding like that, you're going to get a lot of duds. You're going to get offspring that aren't capable of ruling. You know what I mean?
Well, we can look at the generations. Remember, they say it takes 3 generations to ruin a culture, because the people who came here and the first bunch comes over, they're hardworking. The second, then their kids start out and they're so hardworking, but then their children come around and they're lazy as can be most of the time, and they're not that
I hate smart. To tell you guys, but just look at America. What do you think happened here?
That's what I'm describing.
Your country is only not that old, and that's exactly what's happened. But mind you,
the kids don't want to do anything.
Give people a little bit of benefit of the doubt is that it was orchestrated this way, though. It didn't naturally develop that way. It was steered that way. I mean, just read 1984. What is that? The 1984. They lay it out. The kids were reading that in high school. I mean, so this agenda has been going on for quite a while, and so in our own defense, we were.
But again, it's human nature. I mean, they didn't make that saying up. Rough times make tough people, and good times makes lazy people or soft people, you know, makes you soft. Good times makes you soft. We're soft. I mean, I'm reading about the settlers and the natives on my show on Tuesday nights. Anyway, and these people are tough. I mean, 4 days they're riding a horse with no food. You know, they're traveling miles and miles at a time. I can't think of anybody today that could do these things. Nobody. I'm not capable of doing it. I mean, I don't know if I can.
No, I hear you. Yeah, it's kind of funny because the Anunnaki story sounds a lot like our own story, and that kind of makes sense. But if you go back to the whole Igigis that we did a video on, we're up on Mars. They had no women, so that was one reason why they wanted to get out of there. But they got tired of doing the labor. They didn't want to have to do all the hard work, so they're complaining. Can you please make another species to do all the hard work? And that's kind of how it started, right, for us. Well, we've kind of come full circle here that we're in the same place right now. We're saying the same thing. We don't want to be flipping burgers no more. We don't want to be making minimum wage and doing all these hard stuff. We want to sit around and do nothing. You know what I mean? So we're going to make robots to do it for us. We're kind of at that place right now where they were. And that is definitely, it is part of our genetics where, we're always going to look for making things more convenient, So, but back in the day, it was a matter of, okay, well, taking the horse, it just takes too long. Why don't we try and make something that goes a lot faster, right? So we can get there faster. So we can, dig further. So we were making things to, advance to be better. But now we've gotten to the point where we just don't want to do it. We just don't want to. You know what I mean? Like we're just sitting there eating.
Hence, again, we're human. We invent robots, and we invent computers because we don't. Thinking takes a lot of energy, and it's just too hard. My mind hurts. Invent a computer, and I don't have to think. Invent a robot so I don't have to flip that burger. I just push the button, the thing cooks.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
I just get it.
We've come full circle now, basically, to the Anunnaki story. I feel, it's just, except instead of making flesh and blood, we're making, out of iron. However, interesting in the Bible, though, it does talk about the end times as in mixing clay and iron. It's not a good idea. Those two don't go together. And we're the clay, right? According to the story, we were made from, and then iron. So mixing man and machine, and that's kind of where we're going. Where they wanted, put in a chip, and then the next thing you know, we're going to have robotic arms, and and this is all going to make us faster, bigger, smarter, right? Again, it looks like we're advancing, but what we're doing is an abomination. That's where you could use that word now. It really is towards the humanity, towards how we are. But then again, who are we to say to stop progress either?
Well, the thing is when you work towards progress, sometimes you're working yourself backwards. It's like, okay, so we all put brain chips in our heads. We we start becoming more robot-like, but then, as then if you're a robot, you need a computer to help you out, and now they can control you because you've put that chip in your head. Now they can help you think what they need you to think and act the way they want you to act, do things they want you to do, and so now you become that robot, and now you're not even human way anymore. Even though when you're human, you may be dumber, may not be as strong, but see, this is the way to trick you into that, because who wouldn't want to be
we are already being tricked into that. And the thing is that it's going to sound great, it's going to sound fantastic. Elon Musk is going to make sure that it does. He's already sort of been put on the pedestal, and the next thing you know, it's going to be like, well, if you don't do it, you're just not going to be able to keep up with those who have. And you're not going to be employable. You're not going to be, you're just going to be, you know what I mean? So so that's the way it's going. you know, and it kind of sounds like we've been through this before.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree.
It's nothing new.
Exactly.
Nothing new under the sun, people. There really is nothing new under the sun. We just keep
like
repeating. Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. We talked about this several times before in different shows about, and my big question was, if you took everything away from you right now, what would your basic instincts be? Food, water, and shelter. You know, that you wouldn't worry about reading and writing. You know, the power is out. There's no factories. You want to survive. Food, water, and shelter. And then if it stayed that way, what would you teach your children? Food, water, and shelter. And those would be the basic things you would learn in your whatever school you're going to. Food, water, and shelter.
To be honest, I mean, it wasn't that long ago since regular people did not know how to read and write. Not really, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long ago. I know we forget really easy, you know, even 20 years ago now, it just seems like, you know, people forget, you know, so easy, but it wasn't that long ago. And people used to sign their name with an X. And that was perfectly legally binding thing with an, you know what I mean? Like America, so when the people coming over here, you know, you look at the cowboy and Indian movies, you know, that's what's going on. They don't even know how to read. And that's not that long ago.
Yeah, well, I did research on the Indians when they signed their contract or whatever, their treaty. All they did was they would touch. It was called touching the pen. And they would just touch the pen, and that was, you know, whatever mark they would make. But you know, that's because they didn't know how to write. They didn't know how to read. You know, there was no language for them. I mean, because they were at the basics yet. You know, food, water, and shelter. And then a little bit of warring, but that was their whole life: food, water, and shelter. And that's what they taught their children. And if we took all this technology away from us, we'd go back to that. And if it stayed this way for a long time, it would still be food, water, and shelter. And your children, maybe not the first generation, but 2 or 3 generations later, it would be back to, do you know how to read? Right? Nope. You know, it wasn't important because nobody's writing books.
Yeah, but it seems to me, and this is probably what's happened to societies before, most of the time that we're here, we're talking, I mean, that's debatable. Hundreds of thousands, billions even. I don't know how long, you know, this time span has been, but that entire time, we did not read and write at all. Us regular people. It was just the rich people that had education, that, you know, that knew all this kind of stuff, right? We were just told what to do and we did it, and that's it. And to be fair though, we had nothing to worry about. Didn't have to worry about paying rent or where the food was coming from. Everything was provided for you as a slave. Honestly, I think the life of a slave was probably better than what it is for a regular person today on minimum wage. You know,
in some respects, yes, and in other respects, no, because. Like, what was it? I was reading about some of these guys, and well, you know, if your master died, right? Well, they would take all their belongings, and you know, which meaning you were a slave. They would stuff you in a cave, maybe mummify you, maybe not. Put all your belongings in the cave. Take your horses and your stuff. They would just kill the horses, and oh, you're a slave. Well, you're part of the property. Take you in the cave and you die too. I mean, see,
so there's that. But I mean, for women, it wasn't that long ago. Again, like really not long ago. Okay, that if your husband died, you're you're shit out of luck. You're a widow now. You're on the street.
They may throw you in the grave with them.
Literally, I'm not talking about that. There's some obviously, you know.
There was some
traditions, but not very often. I'm just talking about regular here in the States. Here in Europe. Okay. Your husband died, you were shit out of luck. Like if you didn't have a husband that was a good provider, you were shit out of luck. You can't work, you don't read and write, you know, you have no rights. And it was just what, 50 years ago that we're allowed to vote. And like, we're talking like, so anyway, so what I was getting back to earlier there is that this is what happens to us. We all of a sudden we learn all these things. Next thing you know, we start waking up and we realize what a shitty deal we got. And we revolt, just like the Agetes did.
That's why you always hear about those widowers, you know, back in the day. They would be a widower, and the next thing you know, they're married like within 6 months.
Well, you had to. Otherwise, how are you going to feed yourself? How are you going to support yourself? They would come and take your house. And this is what happened to a lot of witches, they call them, but they weren't witches. They were just women who were widowed. But because, you know, everything belongs to the man. So when the man dies, they can just come and take your house. And that's mainly what it was all about. Getting rid of the widowers so that they can come and take your land, your house. Because, you know, none of that, you know, So it wasn't that long ago since if your husband died, you were like, you better hope that you're good looking or something. Because, you know, because no man is going to marry somebody that's already got kids now, or, you know, you damaged goods. You know what I mean? So, many women just perished. I mean, there was you know, group homes or something for widowers that you would go. There's, you know, I don't know. Like, you were shit out of luck. So, you know, this wasn't really all that long ago, you know. So, but here we are again, you know, sort of we've come to that, you know, we got the technology, we got the internet. That was the stupidest thing they ever gave us. Honestly, before the internet, I was just like, whatever. I had no clue about nothing. Whatever they said on TV, that was the truth. You know, they should have just left it at that, because that, we used to. Now the internet means nothing, like we've talked about before. We go and research trying to find things. It's all gone. They're scrubbing everything out. But the way the internet was set up when it first came out, we had access to everything, and we, you know what I mean?
Well, you're right. But just like everything else, they get you hooked. You know, it's like getting satellite TV. You know, back in the day, $20, and you can get, you know, 100 channels, you know, right with the satellite dish, and we'll give you the equipment. And, you know, of course, the next year, it might be $30. But now it's $69.95, and it's $150 the next year.
It's not just that, Robert. They have the gall to actually charge us for this, right? But then at the same time, all we're getting on these Sky TV things that you got going on there are commercials, or all the programs that they have is designed to program you to what they want. And this is what's happened to us. We literally sat our kids in front of the programmer. And then that was after school. So you had 12 years of indoctrination camp. And then as soon as they were done with that during the day, they were sat in front of the boob tube and got programmed there. And you wonder what the hell has happened to society. I mean, come on. That was, Actually, if we go back to the Amish, when they were, I think it was the Amish, some of the religious people, when electricity came out, they're like, holy shit. Don't stay away from electricity. It's bad news. I think they were onto something, because as soon as the Elohim starting to ring a bell, it's all from them, and it was the downfall of humanity. Honestly, it came in about the 1920. And that's another thing. You guys don't realize it's only been 100 years. That's it. Years. I know it feels like, this has been generations of different. No. I grew up in Europe. I remember, like we talked about the Christmas tree, I remember the candle holders, the real candles on the Christmas tree. Okay. I remember not having a washing machine and having to put it, hang things out in the cold -20 and then bring it in to thaw out. And like, you guys here, like, you have no clue of what it's like. And it's only been 100 years. And, you know, and that electricity was the downfall of humanity. It was the beginning of the downfall of humanity.
It was. I mean, people don't realize. I was talking to David Null the other day on the show about the Native Americans, and I was like, "Hey, when were you born?" He's like, I've been 52. And I says, "Do you know that just 100 years before you were born, people in the Plains Indians never even seen a white man. There, you know, most of them hadn't. I mean, and 100 years later, you're born and you're driving cars and you're watching the man go to the moon and things like that 100 years later. How fast technology, I mean, you know, and here you are, you know, later on in life, and we got, you know, flying cars almost. We got drones in the sky and internet, and you can connect around the world, and satellites, and, you know, and you can go on and on and on. And it's like we went from, you know, pushing a buggy to, you know, with a horse to space travel, you know. We're living in Back to the Future all over, you know. And but the thing is how far can we go before it all falls apart?
Well, it is right now. It is falling apart right now. You know, everybody's waking up now, and it's just really interesting to see, you know, what's going on. And
will we destroy ourselves? Basically, we're going to destroy ourselves.
I think if it is left up to our own devices, if it was, we would have been gone a long time ago. If there is such a thing as nuclear, you know, yeah, we would have blown ourselves up a long time ago. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of interference with that. There's some kind of control. They would have to, because if we blow ourselves up, that is going to ripple out to the rest of the freaking universe. There's no way they're going to let us do that, you know, if that's in fact how it is all about. There's so many psyops right now.
Nowadays,
it's hard to know what's going on.
Literally, we've made ourselves so advanced. All they have to do is turn the power off, and it'd be like worse than a.
That's right. Yeah, and it's been long enough now that nobody knows how to take care of themselves. It's been long enough that all our systems, like wood stoves, you're not allowed to have that. You can't. You have to have. You know what I mean? Like you can't. You can't just, you know, have these things anymore. And so they've made sure that we switched over to the gas, that we switched over to electricity, everything. You know, you're not allowed to do this. You got to have a permit for that. And it just made it so that when they do shut it off, and it will be shut off one day, I can guarantee you that we don't know how to, we're not going to be able to heat our homes. Like how we, you know what I mean? We're going to
be most people won't even, you know, they'll be trying to rub two sticks together and trying to make fire. And they'll be like, I don't know how to do that.
If you don't have a fireplace, where are you going to have this fire? In the middle of your living room? You're going to burn down the house? You know, like
well, there's people who put the fire in the oven. Well, the oven heats the house. We'll just put the stuff in there. But you don't realize that you need a chimney. It's just ridiculous. That's what it boils down to.
That's the thing. And then this is how we've been set up. Okay.
I just seen a video the other day where the lady was like, yeah, we got to get rid of farms and stuff. You know, we don't need that. That stuff is outdated. You probably
seen superstores. Yeah, the store has all of them. I have actually had that conversation with somebody online. Yeah. And he was like, well, wait, my kid went hunting. Okay, so I posted a hunting picture or something like that. Oh, somebody, how can you kill an animal? And I said, well, do you eat meat? Yeah. Well, I just go to the grocery store and like seriously, like a grown up ass person thinks that the meat that he's eating is grown there or comes from the grocery store. Like it doesn't have any association with animals and what he's eating at all. Yeah, and that is so sad. I mean, you know,
that's the disconnect. That's what I mean. They want to get rid of farms because they figure all the food can get. There's an unlimited supply at the grocery store that just brings food in from.
Exactly. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
So, yeah. Anyways, so there's going to be
killing a dead horse there you go.
Coming up, and I think a lot of those kind of people, I mean, do we really need them anyways? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, so let's clean it up a little bit, right? And you know what I mean? So yeah. Anyways, well, somebody just said you bought a bunch of firewood. Yeah, you know, keep all that kind of stuff, right? Or think about, okay, you know, how would I survive, right? And try and get some, like, even just as simple as a Coleman stove. If you don't have camping supplies, get them. You know, just stash it in a corner somewhere or under your bed or something. You know, or the back, like what I got, my back of my car is just packed. I have no room back there, but it's all full and I'm ready to go. I can just jump in my car if I have to, right? and having the Coleman stove, and then having some propane. You know, propane lasts forever. It doesn't go bad. So that, you know, not like gas. Gas goes bad in 6 months. So there's no sense trying to store that out, but you can store up propane. Have that little camping stove, you know, and think about it, you know, like, you know, shut off the power one day and go camping in your house, you know, try it out and see, you know, flashlights. Do you have them stashed around? You know what I mean? Right now, there's an ice storm going on in parts of the States. So you guys might be out of power, you know, and so just for emergencies like that, you know, it's good to know where is your flashlight. Do you have the batteries? Is everything, you know? I have a little like a Jackery, so I can, that's fully charged. You know, so I have that. It's always ready. If the power does go out, I can charge my phone. I might be able to, I have an electric blanket that I might be able to put into the Jackery and warm myself with that, you know, so, you know, think about these kind of things, right? But anyways,
even if it's to provide a one light bulb so that you can stay out of the dark, you know, because people want familiarity. Once you turn out the lights and everything goes dark, you know, that's when they start freaking out. So if you can keep things a little bit normal for a little while, you know, make the transition a little bit better. It's when, you know, you go cold turkey.
Well, you know, you're doing it so that life is going to be a little bit more pleasant if and when it does. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully the power never goes out in your house, you know. But if it does, and that could be whatever reasons, you know, it's not just, you know, huge disasters. It could be small of it, like a car accident can take out the pole that takes out, you know what I mean? So you just never know. So just be prepared, you know, is what I'm saying, you know. So yeah, I'm glad I'm completely prepared. I don't have to buy a single thing, you know, which is kind of nice. So I don't have to worry about it no more. That's the thing. People think that I'm worried too much. Well, no, actually, I don't worry about it at all. I'm telling you guys, but I can go to bed. I sleep like a baby. I know my car is fully loaded. I got my bug out bag in the closet here. I just put it on my back and go. You know what I mean? I'm good for walking bug out and driving bug out. You know what I mean? Or shelter in place. So these are all things that you should be thinking about. Anyways, that's not what the show is all about. Although it seems to always kind of come full circle to that, because it is on people's minds. You know, it is definitely in the universal consciousness. You know, as we talk about, it's there, and you can't help tap into it all the time. You know, because it's so loud. It's a loud energy. You know, everybody's thinking about it on some level, even if you're not conscious. Subconsciously, you are. You know?
We were just, the thing is we were talking about you know, the Sumerians, and then they got they were talking about the deluge. Well, Arthur Hayes, he was the Noah, you know, guy. He was like the ultimate prepper. You know, he's going to survive the deluge. You know, we should consider him the ultimate prepper.
Well, and didn't he take 120 years to build that ark as well? You know, it wasn't just so there you go. He got like 120-year heads up, you know. So
he didn't wait to the last minute either.
Well, can you imagine? I mean, yeah. Anyways, if you can believe that story, I mean, that's the thing. But you know, there's some truths in, you know, and some good little gems in the books, in the religious texts. You know, it's knowing what is the diamond and what is the dung. You know, that's wisdom for you. And reading these kind of books that we're doing here, we're going to find them. It might be a lot of dung that we're going through. It might seem kind of boring, but then the diamond shows up here and there, you know, and it's kind of nice to see it, you know, because sometimes it's overlooked in some of the movies or videos that we watch. You know, we're in our own thoughts, and we don't pay attention as much, you know what I mean? But when you're reading it, you can't really not, you know what I mean? So yeah. Anyways, thank you all for showing up, and don't forget, Wednesday we got Hump Day is back on Wednesday. That'll be 5 o'clock Pacific. So an hour earlier than the Sunday show. Okay, so 5 Pacific, that's 8 Eastern, and wherever that might fall in your neck of the woods. If you want to get yourself set up with the monthly donation, So you can just come in and get your personal reading. You can do that anytime. The link is down in the description. And let's see, I might even have it here again. I can't remember. Yeah, that's it there. Put it once more in the thing here. And all the links for you know, the Facebook and the Discord, and we got Gilded. Depending on what you're into, there's sort of two different. The Gilded is more, okay, let's put it this way. The Facebook and the Discord is all the mystic stuff. Gilded is everything else. I think that's an easier way to say it. So if you're just into one or the other, then pick your place, you know what I mean? Or if you're into all of it, then, you know, join us up on all the different platforms. All the links are down below, including Robert's 3 channels as well. Yeah, we'll go sometimes over on the Stupid Talk Daily, and do some shows that we don't feel is fitting for our regular channels. But mind you, the last one got taken down, so I don't know. You know, is it worth it? You know, doing those kind of shows.
Well, you know, that's why I think I'm glad that we did it on that channel versus doing it on one of our prime time channels, because we can give that one a break. You know, so we didn't get to do another show in a week, and they took it down. But you know what? We're gonna rethink it and try to be a little more careful. We come back and do it again. And if they take it down, well, I'll just start another channel there. You know.
When it comes to medical misinformation, they're huge on that right now, and we know why. You know, we know there's another thing coming up, and so they're really cracking down on anything mentioning anything medical. So we got to be really careful about, you know, mentioning, you know, talking code, and which I thought we did, but it must have been Alex Jones clip or something like that that you did that got you in trouble, because I know I was really mindful. Even on that channel, right?
It was the Alex Jones thing. I think
it must have been the Alex Jones, because he's obviously flagged like big time. I mean, I don't think he's even allowed. Like, you're not even allowed to show or talk his name. I don't think. Like, he's that. You know, what do they call it? Canceled. You know, like they even took down his website and everything. Like, they're really going after that man. You know, which makes me wonder, like, yeah, you better, you know, pay attention, go and support him on whatever he's doing. I know he's over on Rumble and, you know, those kind of places. Go and check him out there. I noticed he's lost some weight. The last clip I saw, it looks like he's lost some weight.
He's on X. He's on X now, so you can catch him over there. So
okay, there you go. So go and check him out over there. You know, that's the thing. People used to laugh about him, you know, and yeah, maybe there's some, you know, he did definitely do some weird things back in the day. I'm not gonna lie, but the man has definitely been on something and is on something, so I would continue to watch there. But use your discernment, because you never know. Maybe he'll give up one day and sell out, you know, or you know, who knows, right? I mean, you know, people can change their minds, so you got to be careful, right? Not to just blindly trust everything, right? So use your discernment on everything. The same with whatever we're doing as well. You know, don't just take our word for it. Go and do your own research and check it all out, and use your discernment, your intuition, all that stuff. You know, that's why we got it. So trust it, and yeah. So what do you got? Any last words there, Robert?
Join me Tuesday night, Native American Myths and Legends with David Null, Hawkeye, Two Feathers, and we will have another show. We're going to be continuing on 9 years among the Indians. So there you go. It's going to be we're reviewing this book, and it's very interesting. So
right on. Yeah, you guys will have to tune into that. Subscribe. His channels or links are down below there if you haven't already. I'm pretty sure most of my audience already know you and subscribe to you. So yeah, no worries. But thank you all for watching. Make sure that you are smashing that like. Okay, it does make a difference, you know, with the algorithms and all that good stuff. And yeah, share it out if you don't mind. And then we'll see you guys on Wednesday, maybe, if you're into that stuff. For those of you who are not into divination and all that stuff, then don't worry about checking in on Wednesday. Okay, but for the rest of you, I hope to see you guys live. If not, you can always watch that on the replay. Okay. because it is timeless, and so it is a free message from Spirit every Wednesday, whether you're there live or not. So yeah, Happy New Year, everybody, and I guess we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.